Hi everyone, let's talk then about COVID precautions, because this is obviously going to be something on everybody's mind and it's something you may have some questions about. So, to give you the basics of what we've done so far on COVID precautions for the maintenance period, first thing, the test and trace system. We've registered this site as the ARC maintenance location, the Affinity Rowing Club maintenance location, with the NHS test and trace app. I cannot strongly enough recommend downloading and using the NHS Test and Trace app. I know there are some people who've had concerns about the data privacy and it being Circo and things like that. I can tell you categorically, as somebody who works in IT, this has been developed by the NHS. This isn't Circo or anything stupid like that. And it is as secure as is physically possible to be for your data. It is an invaluable resource and it's something I'd highly recommend you use. We're registered with them. So when you get to the site, all you have to do is open the app and scan this QR code. And I'll show you some screenshots of how to do that now. However, that's my opinion. You should use the NHS Test and Trace app. I strongly recommend it. But if you're not comfortable with that and we're not happy with that, then we have a manual test and trace log. So this is just literally put your name in, put the date and the time, put contact details. And then if the NHS were to contact us at this site, because we're registered to say there has been someone at that site who has tested positive, we can check the date that person was here. We can then contact the people from that list who were here and let them know that they should go for a test. So that system is in place. So we've got the registrations done, we've got the system in place, we've got the things in place to do that and ensure that we can notify people. But preferably, as I said, register with the app and it will happen automatically for you. Next thing then that's worth talking about is we have done a comprehensive risk assessment. I have went to every potential source of advice and guidance from the Health and Safety Executive, British Rowing, the Royal Yacht Association, the NHS, the government websites to take the advice on what we need to consider for a workshop type space and what things we need to put in place to deliver a safe work environment for people to come here and to take part and add value to this. We can do this under the existing legislation because it is both a workplace, we're a company, but also you're volunteering, you're volunteers coming to do something. So you're allowed to travel from home, to leave home, to do these things. And you're allowed to do this kind of stuff in preparation for the return to rowing. So you're allowed to come and do things before sort of the end of the month at a site, and that's all been done. That risk assessment has been reviewed by the Health and Safety Officer and the Welfare Officer, who've given some advice and guidance, and that's some amendments made. But has then also been presented to the directors, the club directors, to make an informed decision on the details. Just to put this in context, and we looked at this earlier on in lockdown. This was put to the directors for a decision. The decision they made, the correct decision at that point, was no, not to proceed with other people being involved in the maintenance because the risk was not balanced with the potential reward. So they are quite clear. The directors will say no if they think that is what is the best interest of the health and well-being of the club members. That risk assessment, a lot of people look at a risk assessment as a tick box exercise, but a risk assessment, when it's done properly, is actually a tool that allows you to put in place the systems which will allow you to safely conduct that piece of work. And that risk assessment covers more than just COVID. It covers things like actually moving the boat. That's 350 kilograms of pilot gig, moving that, shifting that, getting it in place, how to do that in a safe way, because actually that landing on someone is a life-changing injury. So by doing a proper detailed risk assessment, that allows us to assess the risks of that happening and put in place the systems, as I've talked through in other videos, of moving and holding and supporting that boat. So systems then, that risk assessment is advised us to put in for COVID. First thing is, you've all heard it, you're all probably bored of hearing it, mask, hands, face and space. Do you like a little bit of graffiti there on the wall, just to remind you? Wash your hands. We have a hand washing station at the front where you enter, so you can wash when you enter and when you leave. And we have bottles of antibacterial gel dotted around the workspace. Use as much of it as you're comfortable and happy to do. We've also got a little bottle of what do you call it, moisturiser up at the entrance too, because the constant washing and the hand gel can dry your hands out. Wear a face mask. We've talked about different kinds of PPE in a separate video, but wearing that gauze, that surgical face mask as a minimum, protects others if you were infected. It catches the virus, and the water particles that the virus could travel in. It catches it in that mask and minimises the chance of you transmitting it to other people. And then distancing. So we'll try to enable that distancing both by putting on the floor markers 2 meters apart, our little blue X's, to remind people, just to give you a visual cue. So if you're standing a little bit closer to the person you should be, it just twigs in your mind that I need to take a little step back. And don't be afraid to do that. Nobody's going to feel upset or offended if someone's in your space and you want to take a step back. Do that, please. I've also then tried to promote that space by splitting the work area up into 3 distinct areas. We have the garage, where we'll be doing work on the floorboards and the oars, the bits that come out of the gig itself. We've got this end with the gig itself in it. And we then have the demilitarized zone, the neutral zone for all those fans of Star Trek, here in the middle. This is one person from either side at a time in it. It's a place you can come to do some admin, get a cup of tea, hand over a tool, but only one person should be in this area at any one time. And again, that will help promote and keep that distancing in place. And the only potential exception to that is I have set up 2 chairs at either side. When you do need to take a break and sit down, there are 2 chairs there that you can sit on. But again, you're at either side of the area, so you are properly spaced. The next measure then is ventilation. The science is showing that it's the build-up of viral particles in a set area, which is causing infections to happen within enclosed spaces. So when we have people in here and working from different social bubbles, different family groups, and we will have the window at that end open, we will have the window here open, and we will have the tent flap open. That will give us a through draft that will reduce the potential of build-up of the viral particles and reduce the chance of infection from someone having it. The downside of that is it can get chilly in here. So please do ensure you have the appropriate clothing to keep yourself warm as you work. And I do have some little fan heaters which I'll try and kick out a bit of heat to keep the worst off. What other measures then for COVID? Team Snap already have an excellent system in place for a health check. None of you are stupid. You know you do not come to work to potentially expose others if you're showing any of the symptoms of COVID. But the Team Snap health check is a really good way of reminding people of that, and just getting them to physically, mentally in their head check before they decide to come and work and help. So we'll use Team Snap to schedule the actual work. That way it's less work for myself and the bosun to actually slot people in when they're coming in. We can put up in Team Snap. We can have 1 or 2 people sort of then book in at a time. Maximum of 2 people from different social bubbles. So if you and your partner, someone who's in your bubble want to come along and you want to have 2, 3, 4 of you and you're on the same social bubble to work at one time, that's fine. But if you're from different social bubbles, we're just going to have a split. So we can have no more than sort of 2 social bubbles in any one time in here. That's obviously a very sensible precaution, and that minimises the exposure between people, and Team Snap makes it easier to manage and deliver that. The other thing then that's worth mentioning, which isn't in the risk assessment, but I only found out about the other day, if you work in a school, or if you have a child in your family who's going back to school, a secondary age child, you can now get lateral flow tests. So myself and Livy and Evie, who obviously live here at home, will be taking twice a week a lateral flow test. They aren't 100% accurate, but it gives a good guide. So if you have school children, who are secondary age, You can go down to the East Brighton tennis courts, the walk-in centre there, and they will give you 2 packs of lateral flow tests so you can test yourself. That's something you can do yourself just for your awareness, and if you do that, that means it minimises your chance of coming here potentially being infected with coronavirus. That's a lot of scary stuff. There's a lot of detail there, but I really wanted to just let people know that I want you involved in working on this boat. I have had really quite a lot of fun getting things ready for this so we can start to work together as a team, and I'm really glad we're back at a point where people can get involved. But I want you coming here to get involved, confident and happy that you will be in a safe work environment and able to help in a way that you're not putting yourself or others at risk. If you've got any questions on any of those measures in place, any details you want, any further details you want, do not be afraid to talk to me. Do not be afraid to give me a call or drop me a message, and we can go through it in some more detail. Looking forward to seeing everybody here soon. Take care. Speak to you soon.